This video discusses an article called Illicit International Political Economy, the Clandestine Side of Globalization. It appeared in the Review of International Political Economy in 2004. It was written by Peter Andreas. Peter Andreas is the John Hay Professor of International Studies. He joined the Institute in the fall of 2001 and holds a joint appointment with the Department of Political Science. Previously, Andreas was an Academy Scholar at Harvard University, a research fellow at the Brookings Institution, and an SSRC MacArthur Foundation Fellow on International Peace and Security. He holds an MA and PhD in Government from Cornell University and a BA in Political Science from Swarthmore College. He has written extensively on topics of crime, trade, and war. Now I will proceed to the article. The clandestine side of globalization is the illicit transnational flow of goods, money, information, and people. The article reviews 3 books that highlight some core issues in this area. The books are R.T. Naylor's Wage of Crime, John Kerry's The New War, The Web of Crime That Threatens America's Security, and Heinrich Jung's Shadow Globalization, Ethnic Conflicts and New Wars, a Political Economy of Intrastate Wars. The article then synthesizes and adds to their insights. The science of international political economy by political scientists is new. Criminologists tend to have a local focus, while economists do not have a criminal focus. Naylor is an exception. This new field is the relationship between states and illegal international markets. It includes the movement of legal goods to dodge tariffs or smuggling illegal goods. The liberalization of markets have allowed more goods to cross state borders. At the same time, a wider range of goods have become criminalized. Popular media tends to focus on mafia-like organizations and mafia-like leaders, which are sometimes mislabeled as cartels and drug lords. Transnational criminal organizations always involve some kind of profit-driven cross-border smuggling. Those who tend to use the label of transnational crime tend to fear a new great threat. John Kerry is in this group. He refers to a new global criminal axis of 5 powers. These are the Italian mafia, the Russian mobs, the Chinese triads, the Japanese yakuza, and the Colombian cartels. They coordinate their actions with smaller and wider networks. Kerry argues that America must lead an international crusade against this by internationalizing law and uniting world police. While Kerry acknowledges the demand side of the problem, he acts as though the problems are solvable through fighting the suppliers. Kerry seems to understand that if these organizations were simply and centrally organized, it would be easy to defeat them. Unfortunately, in practice, any strategy of cutting off the snake's head will only cause more snakes to pop up. We note that every sector of the legal economy has its illicit counterpart. Illegal funds flow through legal banks. The internet is a tool for legal and illegal commerce, and illegal labor flows through the legal free trade union between the US and Mexico. We must ask important questions in this regard. How free is the state to resist the demands of illicit capital? What is the relationship between illicit trade and conflict? What is new about illicit globalization? And is it hard to control? Differing theoretical methods to answer these questions can be used to answer different types of questions. Constructivist analysis may let us explain why certain activities were once considered normal, while now they are frowned upon. Realist perspectives may help us understand how power politics between states influence legal enforcement practices. Liberal institutional theories may help us understand how international cooperation between various institutions emerge. That some countries depend on illegal drug exports, moreover take place in a historical pattern of dependence. Marxist dependency theory helps us explain this. The neoclassical economic theory of comparative advantage helps us explain how drugs are more efficiently manufactured in developing countries. Within the field of illicit international political economy, we emphasize how the state tries to maintain its authority rather than weakening its grip in international trade. This emphasis is contrary to regular economic politics. Lastly, we must not forget that there is often a lack of reliable data to indicate volume of crime. These are often guesstimates. Naylor tells us how the United Nations officially announced that worldwide illicit trade was supposedly worth $500 billion, but that a United Nations official admitted to him that they made up this number just to grab public attention. Still, even if illicit trade would be worth just $100 billion, then the sector would still be one of the largest sectors of the world economy. Kerry notes that the state is increasingly bullied or bypassed by international criminal actors. We note that this claim is not so strong. The state, after all, defines what is illegal and what is not. Many more goods are illegal now compared to the past, which automatically generates a larger number of criminals. Heroin, cocaine, and endangered wildlife products were freely traded in the past, while now they cannot be freely traded. Money laundering as a concept also did not truly exist in the past, while now it is a large crime. Laborers, too, can migrate less freely than they could in the past. This led to migrants turning to smugglers to help them get into their desired country. In global finance, governments and banks work hard to fight illegal financial practices today. In this story, Naylor says that these efforts are often ineffective and that they produce undesired, unintended consequences. Naylor also says that any form of crime has never been defeated just on the supply side of that crime. This could be true, but we note that exceptions exist, such as the British Navy eliminating the slave trade, or the United Nations limiting the spread of nuclear weapons. Still, these victories also involved a decreasing degree of demand for slaves and nuclear weapons. To reiterate the difficulties with this research field, I must say that there is a sampling bias for any data. This is because we only hear about those criminals who get caught. They probably are less sophisticated than those who are not arrested. An important area of illicit international political economy is the relationship between international crime and armed conflict. Dietrich Jung writes about this. He notes that zones of conflict in the developing world always remain tied to the outside world, not only through legal links but also through dense illegal networks. These war economies are highly internationalized. Military success on the battlefield significantly depends on success in this logistical link to the outside world. Just like with legal economy, though, peace tends to be more profitable for criminals than war is. Up until the 1990s, Yugoslavia formed an important highway for heroin imports into Europe called the Balkan route. This was disrupted by the Yugoslav wars. Not all drug zones and conflict zones are tied together. Morocco exports hashish into Europe, Bolivia has been the world's largest coca producer, and Mexico produces large amounts of cannabis and heroin for the US. These three countries have remained relatively peaceful. In other groups, the relationship remains very ambiguous. The Colombian FARC has an apparent connection between political guerrillas and drug traders, which led to the US granting huge amounts of military financing for the Colombian government. However, this relationship remains deeply ambiguous. If we improperly distinguish between drug traders and political insurgents, and if we forget that they are often at each other's throats, then we risk crafting poor international policy.